Hello everyone, welcome to the first video of DPM. Welcome to the channel. So what we're doing is we're working on a favourite of mine, which is BMWs. So this is the first project. It was meant to be a simple project that was meant to be done over the quarantine period that turned into a bit of a project. And I don't mean a nice project. I mean a project that, in quite fairness, you can appreciate if you're a BMW fan. So this is a BMW E53 X5. Let's get the camera a bit better in position. This is a BMW E53 X5. It's running the N62 B44 engine. It's my personal car. I've always done a little bit of get out the sun. I've always done a bit of mechanics. So, you know, we started to see the typical BMW N62 4.4V to V8 Gen 2 engine, because the first one was the M62, which we'll get into that in a bit. This engine has suffered from valve stem seal failure. So, as typical BMW, if you know about the N62 V8, you will know that if you rev the car, you will get blue smoke, and it is all because of this wonderful tiny little object, which is a valve stem seal. And what happens is BMW skimped out and paid a few pounds rather than, well, they paid a couple of pence rather than paying a few pounds for an actual decent stem seal. So we took the challenge on. We're going to do the stem seals. Now, I'm not going to show you the video of how to do stem seals. I will link a video that I've used personally. It's a great and comprehensive video of what tools you'll need, how to do it. It is on a 745i, so the engine bay is a bit different, but the premise is still exactly the same. Now, one of the things when I was looking into doing the valve stem seals was that you needed a very specific tool, which is an AGA tool, well, which is the American German Autos tool, which retails at about £1,000. Didn't want to do that, it was a bit painful, so I invested in an eBay kit. Now I will show you that coming up. It's actually just a valve stem removal tool. It's actually quite simple, it's about £29 delivered. It's actually quite easy to use, and once you follow the other video I've tagged you in, it's a really good guy called Ecologicaltime, I think it is. I don't know, I'll put the link somewhere in the video. He basically showed me that the easiest way of doing it was to actually just take the cams out. And actually it's not that hard. There's a few little steps that you need to do to make sure that you don't lose the timing chain, which is just to, let's get here, so that you can see the timing chains on a few bungee cords, just to keep it, not bungee cords, cable ties, just to stop it falling into the engine. And basically, that's pretty much it. I mean, I've gone into a bit more extremes because I'm doing a few other replacements. I noticed that some of the pulleys had also worn out, the water pump had gone. And just to give you a bit of background on the car, it's a 2004 car, 140,000 miles. I think it's about 135, 140,000. These you can pick up 2 to a penny on Auto Trader, no problem whatsoever. So you'll probably come across, and you know, a lot of people get scared of these engines because they say that they leak from all kinds of places. The main culprits for the leaks, if we can just get the camera, culprits for the leaks are around the valve covers, around here, and also around these upper timing chain covers. So they usually leak down here. So that's usually the place where they go. Now, as you can see, I've already done this side. These have got brand new valve stem seals in. It's already been timed up. I was putting the car back together and I've started to do cleaning, because as you can see, if we look down here, you will see that my engine was badly leaking for quite a long time. And I didn't know this because the only things that we were getting were slight smells of burnt oil, which was only slight, it was not too major. It wasn't drinking too much oil, but we started to notice the blue smoke. And as I did further investigation, I found that it was the valve stem seals. So this side was possibly the longest side to do because I wasn't used to using the tool. It took a bit of practice, but in all fairness, roughly around a week, this was all done. Now on the 745, you've not got as much space here. The engine bay is a bit smaller, but as you'll see, there's quite a lot of space in the X5, which lets you get down. We will be doing a video on putting the timing covers back on, well, the rocker covers. So it's the cam covers, I don't even know what they're called now, engine covers. Then we came to do this side. Now this side I did a more logical approach. So I started from the back here with the tool. As I said, watching the other video, it's very handy. And then I moved into coming forward. Now the back ones were a bit of a pain. I did use the rope method. I used the air compressor method on here. There's two types of methods you can use to compress the valves, well, to hold the valves up when you're doing the compression of the springs. One is using the air compressor method to hold the cylinder in place and apply pressure, which is in the other video. The second one is rope, where you feed a rope into the combustion chamber, you basically crank the engine over till it clamps the rope, it holds the valves up, and then you can do the compression. I personally prefer the rope. It's much better. So basically we did all these and got all the valve stem seals done, and then as I was going to put the upper timing chain cover on, now I'm going to have to be very delicate here. Now I don't know if you can see that, well, that was actually covered. So as you can see, the timing chain guides have a plastic cover on here that protects the chain from wearing into the metal housing. This one, however, as I was doing the final part of the video, well, actually doing the final part of the work, I noticed had snapped if it comes into focus, I'd snapped a tip off here. So it was actually only being held on by a few clips. Now I know it's broken here, but I broke that just to see how strong this was. It was actually very strong. It wasn't broken during the removal. It looked as though it had been broken for a long time, and there were small bits of plastic down here. It looked as though it might have been broken from when the car was manufactured. So basically that now warrants, and as we can see, here's the water pump. Loads of play in that. So we've got a new water pump, we've got all new pulleys for the engine bay, we've basically got all new gaskets for the top, all new upper timing chain gaskets. We've got new intake, because we're going to be taking the intake planning off. That will be coming up in another video. And we're basically going to take the harmonic balancer off, which is down here. And we're going to be taking the alternator out. And we're going to be basically just doing a good old engine clean. So we're basically doing a load of gaskets. We're doing the engine cover gaskets, we're doing the upper timing cover gaskets both sides. Obviously you have to do these when you're replacing. We're basically doing the Vanos solenoids. We're doing anything that's basically rubber on the engine that needs replacing is going to be replaced. Now we have got a new water pump, and we will be cleaning up the harmonic balancer when that does. The problem is that I basically thought that due to this being, it was actually a lucky break on this, in all honesty, because the plastic piece here was the hook which hooks onto the metal onto this metal plate was at the top, and that was the bit that was broken, so there was just a few tabs holding it on. So I thought, being smart, why don't we order some bits? Excuse my garage, it's a bit of a mess. And where did I put, oh, here we go. So I thought, well, actually, if we ordered an aftermarket arm, what we could do is, and this is the replacement arm, it's a Febby product, so it's you know, as close to OEM as we could get. You see, these were the tabs that were holding it on, and this at the top here was essentially the bit that was snapped off. So I thought, well, actually, could we take the plastic off this arm and put it onto this one? In theory, yes. In actual practice, no, because the trim on this is completely different, and BMW has since revised that arm so the plastic tabs don't align up again. Is different, so we have to take that arm off, which can create a whole new problem, because now we have to take off the lower engine cover, lower engine timing cover, which means we have to strip the water pump, we have to take the tensioner pulley off, we have to take the alternator out, we have to take all these pulleys off to basically take off this cover here to get inside, just to replace that one arm. Now I know there's going to be loads of people out there that are saying, well, why you change all of the timing chain guides? If we go back, so if we actually go back and we look at BMW engines, the timing chain guides was actually a problem on the M62 engine. That is anything pre-2003, well, anything pre-2004. The N62 engine was the M62 and M62 TU replacement. It solved the timing chain guides and created the valve stem seals and a whole other set of seals problems. So the M62 suffers with timing chain guides. So if you're looking for a car with like a 740i E53 X5 up to 03, you'll probably get the M62 engine, which in all fairness, the only problem with those engines generally is the timing chain guides, and it's a lot easier to get the lower timing chain cover off. What the N62 did was solved all this problem and created the valve stem seals. And the valve stem seals, in all fairness, is about a 20-hour job not knowing what you're doing. If you did this a couple of times, you could probably have this done in a day and a half. Say a week maximum, a couple of hours a day. So the N62s don't really suffer with this. Now, that could have been broken for ages. Looking at the plastic on the broken one, it looks as though it's been broken for a long time. So it leaves us no choice. We're going to have to pull off the lower timing chain cover, which is a pig, because under BMW's, under the technical information bulletins, the manual from BMW says we have to take the cylinder heads off. Now, I have looked about and I've read on BMW Forum and X5 Outpost and some of the other forums. The lower timing chain cover can come off without essentially compromising any of this. Now, there's a few little bits you're going to have to put some RTV on to reseal it, but not major. So what we're going to do, project for today and possibly tomorrow, is we're going to strip the water pump. We're going to strip the tensioner pulley. We're also going to strip the alternator out. We're also going to take off the vibration dampener, and we're going to take the Jesus bolt out. Now, if you don't know what the Jesus bolt is, look on every BMW forum. It is the nut that holds essentially the mounting for the harmonic balancer, and it's like 100 Newton meters torqued up, but it's 30 plus 3 times or 2 times at 90 degrees torque. So we're going to have to take the lower timing chain lower timing chain cover off. Now, when I was doing my research on this, there's loads of outpost forums that say you can do this. There's loads of stuff that say that you can do it. I've seen one other video on YouTube about you doing it. So what I'm actually going to do is strip all this out. I'm actually going to make a video on taking that out, so that other people that buy these N62s can see that fundamentally a lot of the issues that people have with these is down to 2 things. Well, age and not being maintained properly. So the rubber gasket, I mean, let's get it right. If you buy a car with 150,000 miles on it, that is a BMW V8, and it's an 04 upwards, expect to be doing something. The N63s have the same valve stem seal issue. So you have to do this on an N63 engine. It's a lot more complicated because they dropped turbos on it instead, and they changed how the Vanis setup works, and they did direct injection rather than indirect injection. If you get an M62 engine, you're still going to have to do stuff to it. You're going to have to replace valve cover and cam cover gaskets. You're going to have to do the upper timing chain gaskets, and you're going to have to do the timing chain guides. But in all fairness, if you've got a half decent toolkit and a bit of a knowledge to learn, you can do all of this. The only difficult one, in all fairness, is when BMW built the engine at the back, there's the water transfer pipe. Now, the water transfer pipe I'm just going to replace, because for the simple fact is I've already taken out, I'll be taking out the water pump and the lower timing chain case. Now, there are loads and loads of kits for doing this, and you know, you can do expandable replacement ones. You're kind of looking at about 500 quid. You can get one for like 200, which is the Euro one. The BMW part, a genuine part, which has done 150,000 miles, is 60 quid. And if I'm already doing this to replace the guide, might as well just do an original. So, we're going to be replacing the water transfer pipe, which is the other failure point. There's a water transfer pipe that goes under the intake plenum, which goes, there's a cheap, shitty rubber gasket on it that basically pops after so many miles. We're going to be replacing that. We're going to be replacing the water pump, and technically, There is a seal at the back where the water transfer pipe goes in, it distributes the coolant around. There is a gasket that goes around that. Now, I've not experienced any leaks from this. I maybe just be doing preventative maintenance, but at 150,000 miles, if you do the water transfer pipe, you do the timing chain guides. Well, in the N62s, you don't need to do them. I'm just having a look at the others to see the state, and if I need to replace them, I will, while I've got the cover off. But if you do the timing chain guides and check them and they're fine, and you do the valve stem seals, and you do the water transfer pipe, in all fairness, these N62s will run forever. If you do the timing chain guides on an M62, they'll run forever. They will get hot, you just got to keep an eye on your coolant and your water pump, and just do general maintenance. And don't follow the BMW 10,000 mile maintenance schedule, do 8,000. You're buying a performance V8. This is a 4.4 litre V8 Sport with 320 bhp, something like 320 foot-pounds of torque. This was also the base engine for the B7 Alpina. It was also the V8 that was put into the E39 M5, had the S83, which was an S62, I think. S62, which was a variant of the M62, but this V8 was used in a lot of variable models. And to tell you the truth, the base design of this V8 is probably still running the F12 now. So, but BMW have sorted out the valve stem seal issues. I know I'm waffling on. This is a look on the project so far. Thank you for watching the videos, and we'll start stripping this out. In the next video, we'll have all this and the bolts out for the lower timing chain case. We'll get a camera set up, and let's see if we can get it off and prove all those people wrong. Speak soon.